But the United States, well, it's not clearly not the only place facing this sweltering weather this week. The world's hottest day was just recorded last Monday before the new record set the next day, which was broken again 2 days later. Now here in Israel, the heat is now rising sharply this week. It is July. After some highly unusual rain in June, predictions for this week show that some seriously hot days are ahead, with temperatures in Tel Aviv hitting around 37 Celsius, 98 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's humid. That may not sound like a lot if you're down in the Carolinas or Florida, but it's hot for here, and it's certainly getting our attention again. And joining the studio now, again, by Rachel Barr, environmental economist here and VP of Sustainability. Thanks for being with us. I know you've joined us on some of these bleak reports, milestones that we don't like to be seeing us hitting right now. But what did we just witness, essentially? Or measure in June, and not just witness. I mean, these are measured numbers. What are the implications of us coming out of the hottest recorded month on record?
It's nice to be here, but not under these circumstances, frankly. These are not good numbers because these are average levels. And so if you're looking at in the low 60s, it sounds like a half-point difference from the previous high. That means immense things for the poles of our world. It also means a lot for the species that inhabit those areas, as well as in the median area. It's getting very, very hot, and it can threaten lives and livelihoods.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just like spiking high temperatures, record highs. We're not living average, right? So the temperatures are higher, at least measurable. Look, even today in Israel, and I'm going to just tie this in, obviously locally, our perspective here in this little sliver of the earth that we're living in here. Even today we saw unusual patterns in June, some things that surprised people. Light rain, even strange this morning. Just behind me, it's a bit cloudy, rainy. What are we expecting? Is this going to be another sort of abnormal summer? Obviously, we don't know what's to come, but are the expectations that trends are changing? That what we could count on for so many years may not be what's ahead of us?
I think that's exactly right. And this has been borne out by government research as well. They put out the ministries were warned a couple months ago, actually, around extreme heat waves twice a month for the entirety of summer.
There used to be, I think, just a few years that, not that long, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So now every month we're expecting some form of heat wave.
In this summertime period, which is also extending in length. So it used to be, 3 solid months, and now it's looking more like 4 months of this heat. It's and it causes implications to everyone. I biked down here, for instance, and I was cursing myself the whole way.
You and most of my colleagues around here as well. It's it's hot out. No one wants to be out right now. But it is summer, and I caution that, a lot of this feels like, okay, just that time of year. But I know the data does support that. I mean, just in Tel Aviv, for example, measuring the temperatures in this city that over the decades, I think since the 60s, 70s, there's a real measurable rise.
There is.
The number of heat waves, the average temperatures. That's expected to continue to rise?
Yes, and also we should see more extreme weather. So we saw rain at times of the year that we never see rain historically. I looked at the window this morning, in fact, and thought, if this was Norfolk, Virginia, we'd be having rain. It was overcast and it was threatening, and I thought, how could that be? It's summertime here. We're not supposed to have that. And it's also the differentials between what is the norm and what is being observed that causes the impacts.
Global warming, we're talking again about El Nino effects. Terminology coming back from, say, 20 years ago. These aren't, necessarily new phenomena. It's stuff we've been witnessing and seeing for decades already. Just sort of keep doing what we thought it would be doing.
Well, El Nino is a naturally occurring phenomenon, but there is also the element of anthropogenic climate change that's happening as well. And the combined effect is observable in terms of the sea temperature and what we're seeing in, for instance, the UK, where they're having such high heat that people are really stressing out. People don't have ACs in part of the world. And this is because they haven't needed it historically. And this is going to change, or else people will die.
Is there any talk yet about, rolling blackouts here, or we can't keep up with the, hanging up with the heat? I know Israel, again, a microcosm, they keep focusing on this, but this country feels like somewhat better equipped than most, I guess, to handle it in the current mode.
I think we are better equipped because we're used to heat. But then again, a few weeks ago, there was some blackouts as a result of the heat, and they told people to stay home because of the heat. And it was a Friday, and people weren't keen to do so, and people ended up in the hospital. I ended up myself with heat stroke, and I think about this all the time, and I'm young and strong. So if I'm having those impacts and it's affecting me personally, as it's affecting all of us, everyone I've been talking to today is, oh, the heat, the heat, the heat. That's average, but this is above what we're seeing globally is above average, and this is where the concern comes: is for those who are at the ranges of resilience, the least resilient, that have the impacts that are going to bear the price.
Well, that's obviously what we stay tuned and keep our eye on as well. See where the numbers move in July versus where they were in June. Rachel Barr, thanks for being with us again. Good to have you in person on these subjects.